Hello, friends. I'm going to talk about soundtrack music today. I listen to soundtrack music. I love it. I listen to it while I'm working because often it doesn't have lyrics, and so it doesn't distract me from what I have to do. Because my brain is, sometimes gets so full of stuff I can't work. I have to be careful how much distraction I have. So soundtracks sometimes give me that feeling of listening to music without being too distracting. Sometimes turn the volume down a little bit. But one of my favorite soundtrack composers is Ennio Morricone. He did, I think we're most familiar with him for the music he did for the Sergio Leone spaghetti westerns. Particularly things like Once Upon a Time in the West and The Good and the Bad and the Ugly. You can hear those in your head right now, I'm sure, and all the others, and quite a lot of Italian films. I mean, look him up. Look up his discography and check out what you can find on YouTube. There are orchestras. There's videos on YouTube where orchestras will play his soundtrack music. Incredible stuff. Just uplifting. I stand by my statement that I always make. I know people who do soundtrack music. I've worked on zillions of movies and TV shows, and I've gotten to know some soundtrack composers. And I always tell them, you guys are filmmakers just as much as the cinematographer and the director and all that. Film music is filmmaking in a very real way. If you take the music out of a film, you have removed a huge part of what makes that film engaging, emotionally engaging and compelling and haunting and all these other things that music brings to a film. Ennio Morricone's music is so emotionally high leveled that sometimes I prefer his film music, to the film. Most of the time I like the films too, but there's a lot of Ennio Morricone soundtracks that are way better than the film. But the Sergio Leone stuff, that's not what I'm talking about there. Those movies are grand, epic spectacles. I love those movies. If you want to hear me talk about movies, check out my other podcast called CINEMONDO. I do some stuff about Sergio Leone there. But for now, I'm talking about the music. One other of Ennio Morricone's scores that I really like, and my CINEMONDO co-conspirator, Mark Aznavourian, got me started on this film and this soundtrack. I had seen this film before, but I had somehow forgotten it. And he told me, listen to the soundtrack. It's a movie called Danger, Diabolic, and this is the soundtrack. It is a fantastic 60s spy movie where the guy is diabolic, is so cool. He's like a thief, he's there he is with the black leather and the cool car, and the music on here sounds just like what you would think. It is cool spy, super secret cat burglar thief, disguised, all that spy stuff, all that sort of Man from Uncle, James Bondy stuff that was going on around this time. But this one has got the film is directed by Mario Bava, who I also recommend as a filmmaker. But this has got some music on here that does have lyrics, and not super complex lyrics. A lot of times Ennio Morricone used voices as another instrumental instrument, where it was just like a woman's voice singing notes. On here we got some words, but a lot of times they're just repeated words, and that give you the sense of the story. But this is such a groovy soundtrack. It rocks. It's got pop band sound to it. It has a very Italian vibe to it, very Mario Bava, and of course very Ennio Morricone, but in his sort of pop music vein. It's not quite as orchestral and epic as his work on the Sergio Leone films. It's more like pop music styling, and kind of repetitious, and kind of like this sort of growing beats kind of music. I think this record has been sampled a lot by people. It's got that kind of feel to it where you feel like you've heard some little bits and pieces here and there in other music. But if you love Ennio Morricone already, you might not have heard this one. I recommend it. This is one of my favorite Ennio Morricone soundtracks. And I also love the movie. The movie is so fun, so visually beautiful, and strange. It's a fantasy. It's got that fantasy feel to it. But special effects are fun in it too. Mario Bava, I think, and his dad worked on the special effects. There's incredible stuff in there with matte paintings and cool special effects. Anyway, watch it. It's a fun movie. And when you watch it, the music, you'll realize how much the music adds to the feel of this film, this sort of 60s spy vibe, with the guitars and the drums and the bass and the singing and this kind of groovy nightclub vibe. You can imagine spinning mirror balls and disco lights and all that during some of the parts, which is the kind of groovy world that Diabolik lives in. He's a super spy, but he also has his headquarters, awesome headquarters, in a cave, like just what you'd think a guy like that would have for his incredible sports car and his lovely, lovely girlfriend. They all have to have everything perfect, the manly stuff of the times, the cool furniture, the production design, all that stuff. Danger Diabolik is right there. But the music is such a huge part of it. And Ennio Morricone was a magic. He had that magic. His music became such a part of the films that he scored. You can't separate those themes from those Sergio Leone films, from those spaghetti westerns. You cannot have them without that whistle. Without, what I'm talking about. You can't. It doesn't. The films don't work without that. Anyway, obviously I love Ennio Morricone, Sergio Leone, but Ennio Morricone, brilliant music. One quick story I want to tell. My wife and I were traveling. We were in Venice. We were in Italy, and we were walking through the streets of Venice at night, just as romantic and cool as you can imagine. Love that place, but I recommend if you go to Venice, go back at night. See if you can make sure you go there at night and just wander the streets. Get lost. But we were walking around at night, and there was a little cafe, and there was a band at the cafe. Very traditional Italian cafe band, with the instrumentation you might expect. Not a modern style band. They're a very old fashioned type of cafe band. And we heard them from a distance, and they were playing the theme to Once Upon a Time in the West. And I just love that theme. And the theme, if you know the movie, you know the theme I'm talking about. It's when the woman arrives in the town and nobody is there at the train station to meet her. The camera does this incredible crane shot over the roof of the building as she comes out of the train station into this world. It is a heartbreaking scene, and the music just stirs you up. But anyway, we're walking through the streets of Venice late at night, and we hear this music. And my wife is not really familiar with some of these films and music that I go on and on about. But she heard it. She's like, "What is this music?" And we went over and listened to them, and we were just wrapped up in this band. It was outdoor. They were playing outdoor. It was an outdoor cafe. And the way the music was echoing through the streets of Venice, and the fact that it was from an Italian film that I love so much, and it's just like the piece of music from that film that I love so much, and the fact that my wife was reacting to it properly, like you really want people to like the things you like, right? And she just became Ennio Morricone's biggest fan at that moment. She was like, wow, this is so beautiful. This music is so stirring and so beautiful and so emotional. So much depth to this music. Could have had to do with the fact that we were standing there in one of the most beautiful places in the world, and at night in Venice. How can you beat that? But what a great memory we have of Ennio Morricone's music. I love that memory of hearing his music in that context, and you know, I'll never forget that moment. Anyway, Ennio Morricone memories. But definitely pick up Danger Diabolic if you like. If you know what I'm talking about with Ennio Morricone, pick up Danger Diabolic. I think you'll really dig it. It is groovy music. It's rockin' and it's fun. And there's also some, musical score, film score on there. Totally fun. I could go on and on about Ennio Morricone, obviously. I would probably talk about him more. I might even do something about Once Upon a Time in the West. I don't know. See if you guys like it. Check it out. Let me know in the comments if you think I should talk any more about film scores. You guys into film scores? Let me know. Thanks for joining me. I will talk to you again real soon.